we are talking about exile and return, and we're going to watch a little video clip here, and then talk about some of these key terms that we'll be hearing over and over this evening. So, while we watch this, will someone turn off the light in the back of the room? While we watch this, I want you to check out the pictures that come on the screen. Some of them might be a little difficult to see, but this will all fit in with what we're talking about this evening. So,
Just do it again.
No. So we're going to try it.
It's just the phone. No. I want to guess. Oh my god. Destruction.
Well,
Not that. Treason. Wildfire. That's wildfire. I said wildfire. That's strong.
the tree.
We're learning this in science.
Sometimes in our life when we experience bad things or times get difficult, we feel like maybe we're far away from God, or God's not even anywhere near us or with us at all. How can we be sure, how can I be sure that God is always with me? Okay? You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
You need to get a drink? You can go get a drink. This is our focus question for tonight. This is the main question we're going to look at tonight. How can I be sure that God is always with me? All right, so I'm going to look at a few key terms that we're going to talk about tonight. All right. Exile. Anybody know the definition of the word exile? Yeah.
To forbid someone from a certain place.
Okay.
Send them away.
Sending them away, sending them out of a place and saying you can't come back. Okay.
Banish.
To banish someone, exactly. To banish them from a place, right? More specifically, being exiled from somewhere a lot of times is from your hometown, from maybe the place you were born or somewhere that's very near and dear to you. So like for a lot of us, Fredericksburg, Texas, hey, come on in, grab a seat. Okay, great. No, you're fine. So for a lot of us, Fredericksburg, Texas, our home, right? Where we are, the place where we call home. If you were told you can't be here anymore, you have to go live in El Paso, or you have to go live in Dallas or somewhere else, you can't be in Fredericksburg, Texas anymore. You can't live there. Right? That would be what it means to be exiled. So let's look at the definition that they tell us. All right, who will read the definition for us? Thank you, Miranda.
Removal from one's homeland for an extended period of time.
Okay, removal from your homeland or a place that's near and dear to you for an extended period of time. We're not talking about, oh, you have to leave Fredericksburg for the weekend and you can come back on Monday. No. You have to leave for a long time, an extended period of time. So God's people, we're going to talk about this tonight, God's people were in exile for more than 50 years. What do you think, how do you think you would feel if you were exiled from your hometown or from a place that you love? Cassie?
You would be sad.
Be sad? Okay. What else?
I think I'm angry. Okay.
Be angry?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're like getting
Go ahead.
away.
Yeah. Okay.
Awkward, kind of.
Awkward? Why awkward?
Like, you don't really know everything, and you just kind of feel different and weird.
Sure. You think it's different living in, let's say, Dallas than it is here?
Yes.
Quite a bit different, right? So you're maybe not used to the customs or the things that happen in that place, right? Not to mention all your friends and family that you've had to leave behind, right? What if you were exiled but your family wasn't, or your friends weren't, right? That would be, there's all those things to think about with exile, right? All right, next key term is Babylon. Who knows what Babylon is? Yes, Jim? It's a city. That's exactly right. More specifically, A city in the area known as Iraq, modern day Iraq. Everybody have an idea where Iraq is in the world? Anybody know what's going on in Iraq right now?
There's a war.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of fighting in Iraq. Sure. Okay.
There's a lot of fighting because of your religion.
Okay. It's a place where religion is a hot topic and people fight about it a lot. Okay. Sure. So, city in the area known today as Iraq. It's between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, and it was a very important time. We're going to look at some maps here in a little bit so you can get an idea of where this is in the world. But that area between the Tigris and the Euphrates River was a very important place to be during this time. A lot of times it's called the cradle of civilization. So, very important place, Babylon. Who will read that next paragraph for us? Thanks, Caston.
King Nebuchadnezzar exiled several thousands of God's people from their homes in Jerusalem to Babylon from 597 to 539 BCE.
Isn't that Nebuchadnezzar?
Nebuchadnezzar, it's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. King Nebuchadnezzar exiled thousands of God's people from their homes to Jerusalem to Babylon. So they went from Jerusalem, which is their home, to Babylon for almost 50 years, 597 to 539 BC. All right, so next, our next key term. Where did they come from? They were taken out of Jerusalem, right, and sent to Babylon. So Jerusalem is... Jerusalem, the home of God's people, and the city where they returned after exile. So they were living in Jerusalem. That was their hometown. That was the place they were comfortable with. And Nebuchadnezzar said, you got to go. You can't be here. You got to go. Send them away to Babylon for 50 years. All right? The next key term that we're going to talk about tonight is, coming on the screen very soon, faithfulness. Who can give me a definition for the word faithfulness? Yes, Miranda.
To have faith.
To have faith, okay.
Full of faithfulness.
Yes.
To have faith in God as well as in yourself and others.
Okay. I hear you using this word right here, faith. Give me a definition. What is the word faith? Give me faithfulness.
Like trust or look forward to.
Okay. Trust in something. Okay. Yes.
To believe in something and you may not have like a bunch of proof.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
Oh, yes. Belief in something even when you have doubt about it.
Okay. Very good. Let's see what they tell us the definition is. I promise it's going to work.
Alakazam. Oh, that doesn't work. Focus, focus.
Sesame Street.
All else fails with you. Aha! The demonstration of loyalty or allegiance. A couple other big words, but being loyal to someone or having allegiance to someone or something. God remained faithful to God's people even while they were exiled in Babylon. God's people also demonstrated their faithfulness to God during this time. All right. Last word. Last word for us. Aha! Prophet. All right. Who can read that for us? Yes, Christy.
A person who is called by God to preach and speak fearlessly for God.
Perfect. All right. A person who's called by God to preach and speak fearlessly for God. All right. So we're going to look at some maps. All right. Pastor Harold's going to walk us through kind of the place here. Like, where in the world are we talking about?
Sure. Yeah, it's easy to talk about exile and what that means in terms of the Old Testament, but it's kind of often in the middle of nowhere unless you kind of look at it on the world and see where it is in the world. Who did we talk about last week? Anybody remember? King David. That's right. We talked about King David and how he unified the whole kingdom of Israel. But the kingdom of Israel was made of tribes of people, 12 different tribes. Can somebody count the number of tribes that are on the board and tell me how many there are?
I'm taking a guess. 29.
Not 29.
12.
It's not 12.
16.
No, you can count them if you want.
I counted
Yes.
13.
13. Do you know why 13? No? Caston, do you know why 13?
You didn't count King David's. Tribes of
Well, the King David was from, he was down here in the tribe of Judah. He was born in Bethlehem. Remember his dad, Jesse, was a Bethlehemite? So he was down here in Bethlehem. But where we get 13, because there were 12 tribes, there were 12 sons of Israel. But who was the one that had the coat, the special coat?
Oh, that was
Yeah, Joseph. And Joseph had 2 sons. One called Asher, one called Manasseh. And so when Jacob gave his blessing to Joseph, he gave the promise to Joseph's sons. So there's 13 tribes on here. So if you ever see 13, you wonder why. I think Joseph had 2 sons, and that added an extra one. So you have the 12 tribes of Israel, which David kind of united into one big kingdom. Yes?
Why is there 2 Manasseh?
They're probably it's the same one, but they kind of had different parts.
Was that one of Joseph's sons?
That was right. Yep.
Why does one have 2 and why does one have bigger land than the other?
I don't know. I don't know. Why do people around here have more land than the other one? It probably was something that they inherited or something that their father passed down to them. So, yeah, that's a good question. So, when David united the whole kingdom of Israel, it was all fine for 40 years, and then his son Solomon was alive for about 50 years, and it was all fine. But then after Solomon, the whole kingdom started to split, and so you have 2 kingdoms. You have the southern kingdom of Judah, and then you have the northern kingdom of Israel. And what was real interesting about this whole region, and let me jump around real quick. I'll come back to this one. So you have Israel right here in this little area. And so you have Egypt was a big power. Everybody knows about Egypt. And then Matt just mentioned Babylon, which is over here, the whole Babylonian Empire. And we'll learn about the Persian Empire. This is the whole Persian Empire in a little bit. But the place for the Babylonians to go attack the Egyptians was they had to go through Israel. And when the Egyptians wanted to attack Babylon, they had to go through Israel. So Israel kind of got ran over a whole bunch by all these bigger nations. So what happened around 600 BC was that the Babylonian Empire was making their way down this way in terms of expanding their land, and they started conquering Israel. And one way to conquer a place is to take away all their leaders so that they don't have anybody to lead them anymore. So what they did is they took all the leaders and they took them about 900 miles all the way to Babylon, which is actually where Baghdad is. You guys ever heard of Baghdad? They took them to Baghdad, and they kept them there for about 50, 60 years, so that this whole place would not revolt on them. And during that whole time, there were people who wrote about, why does this bad stuff happen to us? You have all the Psalms. A lot of those are about that. You have a lot of the prophets, and we're going to read from one of the prophets in a second. And after those 60 years, the Persians took over Babylon. Babylon was defeated, and they said, you guys can go home. So they started making their migration back home over about 4 months. And we'll learn about that in a little bit as well. And just so you know where that is in the big scheme of things, Israel is indecipherable on the map because it's right here, right on the edge of the water. And just for you guys to know, in 2 Mondays, I will be flying from New York to Israel to go over there for 10 days. And I found that's 7,000 miles. 7,000 miles, it takes about 11 hours to fly that far. So it's pretty far away from here. But at least it gives you a perspective on where all that stuff was happening and where we live today. So,
5 books.
5 books.
Oh, it's Australia.
Yes, Cassie.
Why are you flying from New York instead of like Austin?
Well, I'm flying from San Antonio to New York, and then New York all the way to Israel.
I've always wanted to go to New York. You can drop
Can
me
you not fly
off.
from Dallas to New York?
can drop me
Flights
I
go
got
everywhere,
it.
or is that New York?
New York has a 1 flight all the way over there, so that's why they wanted us to go.